Good evening and welcome to the Arundel Camera Club live stream for Wednesday, February 3rd. My name is John Milliker and I'm the club president for the 2020-2021 season. The Arundel Camera Club was founded in 1957 and exists to promote the art, science, and education in all aspects and fields of photography. Normally we meet at 7 p.m. every Wednesday evening during the school year in Severna Park, Maryland. However, with the current disruptions, we've decided to continue business as normal in a virtual space which allows us to protect our members and our guests from the current COVID-19 situation. For more information about us, please visit www.arundelcameraclub.org, and I'll pass it over to Christine Milliker, our programs chair, for upcoming schedule.
Good evening. On February 10th is our program from Irene Sasalato on A Passion for Wildlife Photography. On February 17th is our photo competition with the theme of macro. On February 24th is a program by David Loria on Washington, D.C., A Photographer's Paradise. And our photo assignment for the month of February will be due. The month of February, our photo assignment is going to be translucent and transparent. That way you can, the definition of translucent is permitting the passage of light. So keep that in mind and you can interpret it however you feel like it. And then on March 3rd, we'll be discussing our photo assignment from February, translucent and transparent. Tonight, we are discussing our January photo assignment on resolutions. So let me switch over and...
Christine, what was the theme for this month, and how were we asking people to interpret that?
This month, we had the theme of resolution, and we wanted you to take photos of something that represented your resolutions for the year.
Okay.
So let's get over, and at the end I will reveal which photo had the most votes on our Facebook feed, and let's get started. Our first photo is from Ed Nahinki, and it is exercise. And I don't believe he's with us yet anyway, so we will...
I don't see Ed in the conference or in Facebook chat. Ed, if you are here in chat, let us know what your thought is on this. But that is that's a very handsome look. Is that Ed there on the bike?
I think so.
That's a very handsome Ed on the bike, and I guess his resolutions is to, what was the title of this one again?
Exercise.
His resolution was to exercise more.
That's a great resolution photo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ed just joined us. Hey, Ed, tell us a little bit about this photo.
Is he there?
I think Ed just joined. Is that who just joined us?
I think that was him.
Yeah, it looks like he's still figuring.
Technical connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Looks like he's working on getting his mics figured out. But we can come back once he has it all figured out. Any feedback on his photo of exercise? It's well lit.
Well, my question is, did Ed take this with a timer or a tripod? And what do we want to get into that whole thing of, if somebody else takes a photo for you of your camera, who owns that photo?
Whoever presses the button.
Wasn't there a big lawsuit where did anybody remember the photo of the it was like the monkey that took the photo, and then it was apparently some kind of a lawsuit on who owned the photo. I don't know whatever became of that.
I don't know. I remember this making the news.
Yeah. Ed, have you gotten your microphone fixed up yet, bud? I don't think so. But very nice photo, Ed. Tells a great story.
And this is also by Ed, and it's called Travel. Looks like a nice theater production, but it shows the Chinese, so I can absolutely see the resolution of travel. I don't like how the girl on the left is cut off. Let me see if that's... Yeah, that is the way the photo is.
No? Oh, okay.
The girl over here.
Yeah. She wasn't even showing in the in that version. The hand of the
Of the gentleman.
yes. The quality of the stream.
Yeah. Any other
Well,
any feedback on this photo?
well, for a theater shot, I think it's pretty good. Lighting's always such a challenge in the theater.
Yeah, it is.
It definitely shows a foreign culture, which supports the travel.
Oh, there we go. That's better. That should show it better, I believe. How's that look on the main screen, John? Okay. Okay. Anyone have any comments or concerns on this? Okay. This one is from Bob, and it looks like he's going to be joining us shortly. Is he with us yet? And his resolution is to sort out his workbench.
That looks like a multi-year resolution.
Say, that's a lot of sorting.
Wow, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what this one was all about.
When I saw this, I was like, that's got to be Bob because he takes everything apart.
I knew it was from Bob, but I was just trying to figure out what it was all about.
I guess he wants to organize all this and maybe find containers to put everything.
Never to be found again.
I don't think he set this up just for this photo. I think this is the natural state.
I don't know. It looks like he might have straightened it out a little.
Over on Facebook, Susan says she thinks he actually added a bit of clutter for the photo.
Nice.
At least he's not in a knolling. Does anybody know what knolling is?
That's the straight lines and everything at right angles and stuff. Right?
Everything parallel or perpendicular to everything else.
I like that. That sounds good.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this desk is definitely not knolling. But
Well, I think it's a great example of a good resolution.
Absolutely. Susan over on Facebook says he bought the containers in January but hasn't gotten them filled yet. January of last year of 2020.
Multi-year
okay.
resolution.
That's right.
I told you.
sounds familiar. Any other?
Sometimes you have to think about it to figure out what goes with what and where you're going to put it once you do that.
That's right. You need an extra year for your resolutions.
If you
Susan's
put everything away at one time, you will not remember where the things are
That's right.
because you did it all at one time. You have to put things, a couple of things now and get used to where they're at. Otherwise, they're lost.
It sounds about like me when I work with a tube. I hide it something, I put it somewhere, can't find it, go to the store to buy another one, and guess what? As soon as I get back home, find the other one.
Always.
always.
Well, I think the best thing to do is just have another desk and leave that one like it is and start over again for another year.
There you go. That actually works out pretty good. One thing that Christine and I did with the kitchen, we have a lot of kitchen gadgets. And one of the things is we take everything out, and if we use it, we put it back. If we don't use it, we didn't use it in a year, it's gone. And that worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah.
That's a long time to have everything sitting out.
Well, we moved everything into one set of cabinets, and then we kind of moved it over.
That's not a bad idea.
They say you could do that with clothing and everything else. They say it works pretty well, and it worked well for kitchen gadgets.
My daughter does that every 6 months. If I haven't worn this in the last 6 months, it's gone.
Wow.
That
I'm
works.
like, the season just changed.
That works sometimes, but sometimes you have like dress clothes that you only wear for certain things, and especially this past year,
That's true.
you haven't
Yeah,
had the opportunity.
yeah.
Over
Can't find your pants.
Yeah,
over
I
on
just know.
Facebook, Susan says that Bob actually knows where everything is in that workroom.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't move it. Just leave it.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes you'll have something out and you'll be like, "Oh, I need to put this somewhere safe," and you never see it again.
An
Never
old,
remember.
an old story. My dad once cleaned up my grandfather's workbench. He had stuff everywhere, and everything was, hung up with places. My grandfather came in and started screaming at him, "I can't find anything. I know I put that hammer right over there, and now it's not there." He knew where everything was. It
Yep.
didn't have to have a permanent place. It's just where he put it.
Yes, I totally understand that. Any other comments for Bob? Okay.
Good luck.
This is by Fred and is Yamaha. So you want to tell us about your resolution, Fred?
Yeah, my resolution is basically in photography. That's the only thing I went for. What I want to do this year is do more panning and do probably go to Grand Prix racing and do something with live sports, fast live sports, and just learn how to pan and get it straight.
That's cool.
Yeah, Fred, I thought that was you on that bike. You was going to learn how to ride that bike like that.
Maybe 50 years ago.
Or maybe he was going to try to set a new speed record or something.
Are you doing this? Are you trying to learn a little bit more with the races for yourself? Or are you trying to get into maybe some race photography, Fred?
No, racing for photography. Because my first thing is I'm going to go to horse racing, probably down here at Lowell Park. I know an individual down there that started there, and I'm just going to go out and use a long lens and just see what I can do.
That's cool.
Very nice.
Because it's kind of interesting when you look at photography for racing for artistic purposes versus selling. And that was one of the things I learned really early on. People want a photo showing where they're racing at. So you blur it out and you blur the background. People don't want to buy that usually, but it's artistically it's perfect. This right here is great, but sometimes those people want the name of the raceway or the drag strip where they're at. It's really really interesting.
You're absolutely true, because what happened is I have a photo before that one. It's a Honda, and he had a full racing suit on, and he was coming straight at me, and I liked it, but I just wanted to do more blurry type thing than it's going sideways like that. But I agree with you 100%. When
Yeah.
it's coming straight at you, and figure out where it's at. They said, "Oh, I've been there once upon a time," so they buy the photo.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, this one's John's.
Now this is kind of similar to Fred's, and it's something that I really wanted to get into last year, but that didn't happen. But this is just slit scan photography, and
Say it again, John.
it's called slit scan photography. And this, believe it or not, is a lighthouse. This is a video of a lighthouse with the clouds going behind it. And I guess I should have put another photo in there showing the lighthouse, but it's a video. And the way slit scan photography works with film photography, it's kind of like if you've ever seen a photo of a photo finish of a horse race, that's a slit scan photo. It's taking a photo of just 1 pixel wide, right where the finish line is, and it's moving the film behind it. Well, the same thing happens for this, and this is a script that uses the same thing. So as the video goes, every frame it takes up 1 pixel wide, exactly in the middle, and it builds an image from left to right. It's kind of hard to visualize unless you kind of play with it for a little bit. But the clouds up top, you can see those moved throughout the image, and the lighter lines about the first and the second third of the image. It's when the sun came out and lit up the lighthouse. But it's something that I've done a few of in the last couple years, but I really wanted to do more, and last year didn't happen. So I want to make an effort into trying to wrap my head around some different subjects for this technique.
The clouds look like they're vertical instead of horizontal, which most clouds usually are.
Right.
I mean,
The way they were moving in the original image, they were moving kind of down and to the right in the frame of the video that I was making. Just interesting stuff.
Yeah, different take on photography.
Well, I can't afford a slit scan film camera. And even if I could, you're talking about feet of film, or you're talking about film that's a lot of processing and a lot of film emulsion as well.
Right. Any more feedback for John?
Nope, you just lost me.
Okay, this is also Fred's, and this is Mel.
What I tried to accomplish this is I normally, when I shoot in the studio, I shoot somewhere in between 7, 1, 8, 9, 13 or whatever. And most of the time you do it because of the light. But I wanted to get the depth of field. And I have an 85 millimeter that I haven't used in a long time. And I wanted to get it down to 1.8, 2.2 using strobes. And I used one strobe on it. And I turned it completely down as a 1600. And on the White Lightning of mine, I have a button on it that makes it go down really, really low. So I used a highliner underneath and one on the back, and then I see her hand is out of focus. Now, if I was shooting that at 7 or 8, her hand would be just focused. And what I want to do this year is basically watch my depth of field in the studio.
Sounds like a good thing to work on. Study in depth of field. That's something that all of us could use and do.
Yeah, B&H has a webinar coming out, I don't know, this week or next week, called Depth of Field. They probably just want to get your email address so they can get you a lot of junk, but it was announced, it was on Facebook that they have a webinar on depth of field.
Well, the biggest thing is I have an 85 millimeter lens, and I bought it about a year and a half ago, and I probably only used it half a dozen times. And now I'm going to concentrate on using that thing.
Well, Fred, what do you use in the studio?
I usually use my 28 to 75.
Oh, okay.
And I'm usually shooting it at like I say, 8. Sometimes if I want to kill the background and get her close to the light, I'll move it up to 12. I'll move it up to 13. Just depends. But I'm never down at 2.2. This is the only time I've been down that low.
And it works, but it's really easy. When we shot with what was one? It's been a while ago, but 1.2. We had 50 millimeter 1.2, and yeah, if you have one eye in focus and one eye out of focus, right. Really shallow depth of field, but it makes the image pop, and that's something that we do with our large format cameras. The depth of field is so shallow there as well. If we were to get right up on a subject, I mean, you can have and a lot of the wet plate photographers do this. I don't like it, but you can actually see that the tip of the nose is out of focus.
Right.
So it's super extreme, but this is nicely done. I just love the zones there.
Well, thank you. That background was actually it really wasn't a library. What it was a picture, and it was it was your regular 107 inches wide. Nice. And so I just moved her away from it a little bit, and then started coming down on the light. I pushed the light all the way down to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how well lit she is. I like that blurry hand in the background to show the different layers, and the way the background is darker and blurred out, I think makes this an effective photo.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that a little bit harder. Okay, it's a challenge. You really have to think about it. What you're going to do, because even if she turns ever so slightly, the whole thing's out of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can make a big difference. and I've dealt with the depth of field so that as John said, one eye is in focus and the other's not, and that can make or break a photo too. But it's
Yeah, with today's cameras, my camera doesn't do it, but my other one camera of mine does it, but I don't use it in the studio. I'm able to switch the eye. So if it and then use it on a focus hold, like hit the focus hold button, grab it. Then if it's got the wrong eye, just switch to the next eye, and then hit it. It seems to work pretty well with my, but I don't use it that often. The one I use is a full frame one, and it only has one eye focus. If I want another one, I got to undo it and come back to it again. It isn't done as fast as the other one has.
interesting. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, the next one we have, this is also Fred, and this is Hawk.
Yeah, I was planning on doing this next year, spend a little bit more time in wildlife. And this particular hawk, I think I took this picture before and it came out a lot better. But this one I took in January, but got me going with this one was he was chasing a bird, and I was chasing him. I was looking through the trees trying to keep up with him, but he was chasing a little bird, and the other little bird was going in between the branches, and he couldn't keep up with it. And then finally he just gave up and sat down, and he looked at me, and then I took a couple pictures of him, and he took off. But it was like a bad time of day to do it and everything. And I have a better picture of him, but I just did that one this month, and that's what I was going to concentrate on.
Yeah, getting the birds and the right time of day can make a world of difference, and getting them to cooperate isn't always easy.
Yeah, not that one. Okay, I had one show up in the backyard yesterday, or the day before yesterday, when it was snowing, and he showed up, and he was looking down at the bird feeder. I know he wouldn't want to eat any seed. He was going after the birds that were around it, and they took off. And also all the squirrels that were around, they were gone. And he sat there for about 10 minutes, and then finally he took off.
Any comments for Fred?
Very nice, Fred.
The other challenge with the wildlife is just what you have here, Fred. It's got me so many times. The branch is in the wrong place. That's up by his feet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it happens to me all the time.
And then when you try to move around, you scare it off. So it's a challenge.
Right. I was using a 600 lens. I was out there pretty good, and then I was on a crop sensor, so I was out at 900. So I got underneath it, and then he was looking over, but I kept getting the branch in focus, missing his eye, and then he flew away. But like I say, it wasn't really the best time of day. It would have been nice if the sun would have been the other way and it would have been low, like 4 o'clock, something like that. But hey, it is what it is.
Right.
What were you going to say, John?
I think it's your wildlife photography is really grown very nice during this whole pandemic, Fred.
Well, thank you very much. I've been hanging out with JC and going over to Burba Lake, and just to keep shooting long enough, you'll get a picture. You shoot 1,000 pictures, you'll get 1 or 2 of them that work.
Yeah. I'm thinking on about wildlife, you're on their time. It's a wait and see. It's a game of wait and see until you get the right moment for it, because
we'll never go to Conowingo when we go. Because there's never anything at Conowingo.
Conowingo is like, you know what? It might be a 50 today, and it might be not, may not be any tomorrow. I don't know about those eagles up there.
I've been fortunate. I've only gone 3 times, and all 3 times I had to walk away because one time I shot 1,400, and the other time I shot 1,200, and the other time I shot 800. They're just all over the place when I was there.
Yeah, I went up 3 times, and only 1 time did I have any luck. The rest of the time it was bad.
Yeah.
Anybody know, do they come all year? Mike, John, you all go up there. Do they stay up there all year, or when do they leave?
Typically, it's, what is it, October to February, Mike, is peak?
Well, there's a resident population, but there's a big migration that peaks in November. It's a little bit weather dependent on when it starts and ends.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, after the last couple of times I went up there, I didn't get anything, so I just stopped. I haven't been back up there, so I just said, I'm not going back up. So I don't know what's going on with those eagles. I thought maybe they all had left.
While we're on the topic, are the snow geese at Blackwater yet?
I don't know. I haven't been to Blackwater this year. I don't think, but no, I haven't been to Blackwater this year. I was not this year. I mean, last year I think I went one time just before the pandemic, and that was it.
I think I've seen some photos posted of at Bombay Hook and maybe Blackwater of the geese.
Mm.
Very
Gotcha.
nice. Okay. This is David Joyner, and his resolution was to do long exposures and light painting.
Mm.
Looks like a ghost image because I can see the tops. I can see the treads of the stairs through him.
It is almost, yeah. Looks like the ghost photos we do for tintypes sometimes.
David, are you here in Facebook chat? Let us know a little bit more about that. But I'm guessing he wants to play around with more long exposure and light painting. That's great.
Any comments?
I guess he's holding the flashlight that he's using for the light painting.
Yeah, it looks like he's pointing it at his chest, maybe, and
Yeah,
reflecting
but
in his.
maybe he was moving it around some.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he had a flashlight
Mm.
in
I'll
his
tell you
hand
what
or
he,
something.
I'll tell you what he could do is talk to Chuck. He's pretty good with that. I've seen a couple of his. I've been with him a couple times, with the club, and he was doing a couple, and I thought he did a good job. He'll show you exactly what to do.
Okay. This is Elaine's, and she wasn't able to make it tonight, but her resolution for this is to be healthier. So she has her sneakers on and I guess maybe some weight loss and maybe exercise all in one photo.
Yeah.
That's definitely in the spirit of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When it first struck me, I immediately thought, weight loss. That was my, if you see a scale, you think first of all, hey, it's weight loss, not weight gain, weight loss.
Right.
Yeah. Weight loss through walking.
Yeah.
But I really like the composition. That was a smart idea.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked browns and blues together. This works out so well.
Yeah. I wish she hadn't cut off the shoelaces on the one shoe, but other than that, it's well done.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely within our theme.
Yep.
This is.
Oh, I know who that is before even saying it.
That's Mike Thomas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do you say that, John?
I was there when you bought that lamp.
Oh, so it's not a style thing.
Well, actually, looking at it, it would either be you. Well, it's not cluttered enough to be Bob's.
No.
But that's definitely got your style on it as well.
It has Mike name all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one's for reading more.
Wow.
I like your bookends. They're really cute.
Did you add a little bit of a light flare to that bulb, Mike?
I took multiple photos. I wanted to expose for the bulb and then the scene. So I combined multiple photos and that's how I got didn't blow out the light too bad and got the flares.
Yeah, the starburst still looks great. Wow.
Yeah, very nice. Well done.
Great.
I like the shadows behind it and everything.
Yeah, I started with just a straight on shot of the books and bookends. And I'm like, well, that's boring. And so I added the light and I turned the books at an angle, just playing different things, trying to get something more interesting.
Susan on Facebook says, nice, simple idea, very well executed.
That's a great shot, Mike. Well, you always take great shots, though.
And Susan also asks, what's the set of books?
So that's Robert Louis Stevenson's.
Okay.
I think, well, no, actually, let me think. It isn't. Who did this Jungle Book? That's the author. I forget. I should remember. I need to read more.
Kipling.
Yes, Rudyard Kipling.
Rudyard Kipling.
Yes. Yeah, so those are all books by him.
Okay.
And
Mike, did you take the cord out, or how's that for getting power?
It's just the cord's behind it. You just don't see it. It's
Okay,
dangling off
cool.
the back of the table.
You can see it very
Yeah, that's
vaguely
pretty neat.
right here. I don't know
It
if
looks
you
good. Though.
can you see my hand.
No.
Well, the hand of the.
This is so nicely done. I hate having any kind of nitpick, but the bulb touching the touching the valve
The
there.
lights. That's
Yeah.
actually the light switch. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
see it. Yeah.
I
But
guess
that-
I could have turned it just ever so much to separate
Right.
those two.
It's such the smallest, most petty nitpick, but just maybe a little bit of space between them.
Yep.
It's interesting. I noticed it too. I've been listening to too many nitpicky judges.
Well, and the fact that it's blue, it's a totally different color than anything else in the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
I still love blue and brown, but yeah, if there was a little bit more blue somewhere. You need more blue books, Mike. You need to read some blue books.
So he's going to learn to kipple. Do you?
Or he could have
You
put
do
the light
Kipling?
on the he could have put the light on the other side so that the valve was facing this way.
Yep.
Mm.
Yes, I could have.
Nice.
Very nicely done.
Very
I
nice.
didn't even notice it. I was looking for the cord. I didn't even notice it.
Is that window light, Mike? I'm seeing a little bit of light, maybe.
Nope.
No, I'm seeing a little bit of
Nope.
blue light reflecting off the right-hand side of the books.
No, it's a strobe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just a little more white or bluish on the right side, but I like
Well,
it.
I think what's happening is the mixture between the light bulb and then the strobe. I think that highlight you're seeing on the books is from the strobe.
Yeah.
Okay, very well done. Any other
I
comments?
still don't see it. It's good. That's an ever so slight, but it looks good.
Great.
This is also Mike, second try.
Yep, just trying to come up with something that fit the theme.
Sure does.
And since I didn't accomplish anything in 2020,
I heard one guy say he's not going to count his birthday for 2020 because he didn't get a chance to do anything. He said he's going to skip 2020 for his birthday.
Well, Mike, you retired. You're not supposed to do anything once you're
yeah,
retired.
but I got another job, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
You could, finish your new job could be, actually retire.
Yeah, well, my wife spends too much. Oh wait, you're recording this.
Mike, you're retired now, so you can scratch number 5 off. I hope you know it costs more. Look, since I retired, I think I spend more money in retirement than I did when I was working because I have more time to spend it.
Yeah, but he's working again. He's double dipping now, so that
Oh, okay.
he should be able to scratch 5.
Mm.
I love the table or whatever is underneath your pad there, the way the diagonals across the screen. And then
So if you go back to the previous photo,
uh-huh. Same table.
oh, did you go?
I
I'm
don't
still
see it. Oh,
showing.
there it is.
There you go. So that's the exact same table, and what it is it's a plastic, regular folding table, and that's a bamboo floor mat that I've just draped over the table.
And you match your pen with your bamboo floor mat also.
Well, they just both happen to be wood, but yeah, it's just a bamboo floor mat. Normally, I use that bamboo floor mat as the for the ground, under models and stuff when I shoot
Mm.
against the background. That's normally what the chair or the person sitting on or whatever, or standing on. But this case, I just draped it over the table.
Nice.
Very nice. Over in Facebook, Susan says we need to work on number 8 every day for a little bit. Like tonight's sunset was gorgeous at Blue Hour.
Oh man, I missed it. I was drinking.
Water.
Until it
No.
gets to at least 50, I'm going to pretend the outdoors doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a little too cold out there for us, but we go out every once in a while. Okay, any other comments? This is also Elaine's, and it is Eat Citrus. Which, another be healthy type one. And this is well done. I like the 4, but it might have been stronger with only 3 orange peels, maybe. And you can't quite see the texture of the oranges, so maybe a little closer or slightly more depth of field.
It almost looks like she shot a little slow. Almost looks like camera shake, doesn't it?
Maybe. It just seems to blur together a little bit. That or her depth of field is really shallow and it's just like right here that is her focal point. I don't know if you can see my cursor.
You asked that last time and we said no.
Sorry. I always get yelled at about my
I
cursors.
think if it was a different background color, the white is too starchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a blue plate or something.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, the contrast. Yeah, that would be nice.
Find the opposite color of that orange and put that as the background.
Put a shot of tequila behind it. Would that be eat healthy?
Any comments?
You mentioned 4, you would like to see 3, but, at some point, I just wonder about this odd versus even. I understand 2 versus 3, maybe 3 versus 4, but, who cares at some point whether it's odd or even?
That's definitely one of the rules of composition that, I see it because everyone's doing it because I'm more of a technical thinker. So I have to fake at a lot of compositional rules because I don't necessarily see them either. But I always see, 5, odds or 1, 3, 5.
Over on Facebook, Leslie said that a black background might have made that better also.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black and orange. Black is the new orange.
This is also Elaine's, and it is Eat More Fruit.
Now, this has 8 strawberries, see, and you don't care whether there's 8 or 7 or 9.
You counted them already?
I counted them while we were talking.
But there are an odd number of Chex Mix pieces, Rich.
You sure?
No.
Who cares?
At certain, but that makes a very interesting point. At a certain point, that whole odd thing goes out the window.
Right.
Well, it has to.
I think I'd like to have seen this one tighter.
Yeah, either tighter or the whole bowl and not cut off the bottom of the like bowl on the bottom.
I'm gonna say it again. Squircle. Square circle. Shoot straight down and crop it square.
That would be very nice.
Squircle.
Out.
Oh. Oh man, right in the heart.
I'm sure she was trying to get the fruit, but the bowl is a beautiful bowl, but the flower in the bowl is kind of blurred.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I see it.
I like the yellow in contrast, but
Still nice.
the strawberries kind of blur into the red flower, but
Right.
yeah.
A little bit more fill light.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely done though.
Mhm.
Within definitely a good resolution to have. Any other comments? This is JC's, and this is exercise.
Well,
JC,
it's
did you have a birthday this week or last week?
No, you guys sent me a break. I was going to send all you guys a text back and say, why don't you look at the the gender? Yeah, look at everything else. It say female on there also.
JC,
none of that data is
No,
correct.
we weren't going to ask.
When I first received it, I thought Kathy was playing a joke on me. She said, "You look good to be 91 years old." I said, "What the heck is she talking about?" And then I finally went and looked at that page that I created for Javon Cardo. I said, "Oh, that's right." And then I said, "Oh, everybody looked at my Facebook page to get my birthday." No, that's not my real birthday on there. Only the club. I tell the club though, my real birthday is in December. But
Oh,
I don't participate on Facebook other than the club, so that's the reason I put all that stuff in there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So how
I'll
many
say that.
birthdays do you have if your real one's in December?
Yeah, my real birthday is in December. Okay.
I'll have to
Well, I was
figure
starting to
out how
think
to
you
have
looked
more
really
than
good.
one.
JC, tell him the truth, JC.
Hi.
Tell him the truth.
Oh, about my
December.
birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't think they have enough time to hear all of that.
Okay.
The point is, Fred said, I really don't know when my birthday. I mean, I know it's in the month of December, but I don't know the exact date. My mother tell me one date, my sister tell me another date, and my birth certificate has another date. And the reason being, I was born in Mississippi way back in the boonies, and they didn't have we didn't have birth certificate. I didn't get a birth certificate until I started school, like 6 years old, and also my name was changed on the birth certificate, and Mama just never went to change it. You know what I mean? So it stuck with me. My name was supposed to be John. No, my name was supposed to be J.C. Williams only after my uncle, but the birth certificate came back with J. Clarence on it, and Mama never changed it. So that's how I got stuck with J. Clarence.
Huh.
was it John Clarence?
It's just no. My birth certificate say just the letter J. Clarence.
But you said
Just
John in there at some point.
Huh?
You said John in there at some point.
No, what happened when I went to school, they gave me a first name as John.
Oh,
And-
that's cool.
Yeah.
Because that's my first and middle name, John Clarence.
Yeah, and then when it came back in the military switched it around and gave me Clarence J. And it's got all mixed up because the old computer would not take an initial for a first name. So, and when I got to be Social Security age, I had a hard time getting everything squared away. So
Wow.
it's a long story, but it all worked out. You know, it's all good now.
I just wish you wouldn't
anyway.
have. I just wish you wouldn't have half-assed this photo, JC. Why didn't you get a weight that said 2021?
I wish I could have found one that said 2021. Well, anyway, I put on there what this is all about. You know, my goal this year is to incorporate some weights into my daily exercise program. You know, I do try to walk like 2.5 miles a day, and I do some strings, but I haven't been doing my weights since I left the gym. You know, left the gym in March last year, but when I was going to the gym, naturally I did weights, but been almost a year I haven't been lifting weights. So this year I'm going to try my best to incorporate them. I did some already to incorporate my weights again. And this was shot with two flash in my little workout room. I had a flash on the floor, a softbox on the floor to light up, you know, to try to get some of that light up under me. And I had an umbrella over the top of me. So it was, and then I cropped it in real close.
That crop works. That's very nice.
And you shot it on a tripod and timer or something?
Yeah, you know, I have that, you know, that Nikon, you can, well, I guess all cameras can do it. You know, you set it up for, you can get it where you set your time for every 3 seconds. It takes another picture every 3 seconds. I would, you know, what do you call it? Delayed timer, whatever you call it. I forget the exact name, but you know, you set it up and I use a light stand to put it in the spot where I'm going to be, and then I focus on the light stand, and then I set it for up to 30 seconds up where I can get in place and sit down, and then I push the light stand out of the way and let it fall on the floor. Now I put my eye right where the light stand is, and then I put the light stand on the floor. I push it out of the way, and I sit there for 30 seconds, and then it snaps its first picture. 3 seconds later, snap another. 3 seconds later, it would snap another one. Then I picked one that I like.
Very nice photo.
Yeah, very nice. Well done, JC.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to get as good as Fred and Mike. I got a long way to go, don't I?
I'd say this is pretty darn good.
Okay, thank you.
This is Mike's.
Susan, before we go on, Susan said the consistency of cutting off parts of the body on all 4 sides works for her. And I agree.
Thank you.
Whose is this?
Pretty sure. Yeah, this is Mike's, which is Eat Better.
Yep, same table, same background, same light.
Mhm.
Just trying to come up with stuff that fit the assignment. It seems to me, hopefully, I thought this would be pretty obvious to fit the theme about trying to.
Oh, we got somebody in here.
All right,
There
there it
we
went.
go.
There we go.
Yeah, part of me thinks that to be successful at this assignment, you shouldn't have to have a title.
The titles helped me whenever I'm going through them to know what the resolutions were, but you couldn't see those on Facebook, which kind of helped, I think. But
Are these just 5 random books, Mike, or do these books mean something specific?
So they were the first 5 books I grabbed off of our shelf of cookbooks that looked like they were focused on healthy eating. The top 2 are the most recent ones that my wife procured.
So the funnel cake book didn't make it.
No, no, but we do have a new book on you can waffle anything in a waffle maker.
I like it already.
Waffle your way to health.
sounds like my kind of book.
Need to be more positive.
Yeah.
No more waffling.
Nice lighting on that, Mike.
Yeah. And I like,
Great.
again, the way the books are against the angle of the table a little bit. Adds a little more variety.
Yeah, I figured straight on wouldn't be as good.
Very nice. This is Ed with Bible study.
That's nice.
Wow.
That's nice, Ed.
Yeah, I like it. The gray in the top right corner is a little distracting, but other than that, it's well laid out.
Yeah.
I like the flare around the middle candle, and
I like the colors and everything. I like it. It's real nice.
Ed, did you ever get your microphone working, bud?
Well, can you hear me?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of my resolutions, is to read the Bible. So I started the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So this is starting with Matthew, and I had to play around with with my flash, the angle to get the book illuminated, and I thought the red background was nice with the candle, and I was really happy the way it turned out.
Are those all real candles?
No, they're the LED lights.
Oh,
There's only one real candle on the back.
Yeah, that's pretty good because I was wondering how you got the color like that.
Yeah.
Because the candle should be yellow and the other ones aren't. And I'm going, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Makes all the
I
sense.
really enjoyed working on that.
It's a nice still life.
Good composition.
Yeah.
Very creative, Ed.
Thank you.
Very nice. Do you
Yeah.
want
Odd number of candles.
I think about photography all my life, all the day, and I have a bird feeder out there, and the birds aren't pretty. The birds aren't pretty now for some reason. That's one of the things, you have to get a pretty bird, and the woodpecker comes around sometimes. They're pretty nice. So I got my camera stationed by the window to take pictures of the birds, see if I can get a good picture.
yeah.
Over in Facebook, Susan says a nitpick is to notice that the Bible touches the candle on the left, which I see a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still well done. Do you want to tell us about your other photos, Ed? We brought them up
Well,
earlier.
yeah, one of my exercise, travel, and read the Bible. That was my three ones.
Here's your exercise.
Yeah, this was taken when I was in Montreal, Canada. And the guys are all looking at me and laughing.
I like this photo, Ed. I mean, it has a story to it. I mean, the people back there laugh. I mean, I really did like this one.
Yeah.
Little do we know, Ed smoked them all
That's what
on the
I
next leg of.
You notice I'm a little,
love 'em.
heavier there, and I finally got down to my goal weight. So I don't have to lose weight. I just have to keep not gain any.
Maintain.
So I have to weigh.
That's still tough.
I have to weigh in once a month with Weight Watchers.
Nice.
So tomorrow's my weigh-in date.
Mhm.
Very nice.
And the other one is when I went to China. And I was really lucky to get a good seat in the front, and was able to get this picture. And the Chinese are really ingenious for putting on shows. They really know how to make it really neat with the colors and everything. And that's one of the things I miss is traveling. Our engineering organization, I get to travel three times a year, and I miss three travel times. We just do it on Zoom now, so I miss traveling.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Ed.
Yeah, well, I did go to Ocean City for 3 weeks last summer, which was nice.
Very nice. This is from JC Bible reading.
Yeah, that's a New Year's resolution. I think it's to read my Bible more, like every day. Like, I do read it, but I miss it a lot of times. And like Ed, just to read my Bible more, to really study God's word more. And as far as the picture goes, I took several pictures of this right here. I took that, and I did not use a flash on this. Matter of fact, in the room I'm sitting right now, I just opened the back door and got some light in, and I just kept snapping and snapping. And I have the book like propped up a little bit, so it's not laying flat down. And I know I wanted the book of Proverbs, which Proverbs is one of my favorite books. And I think Susan asked me, did I pick that verse down there at the bottom? Did I pick that verse on purpose? No, I did not pick that verse on purpose. I picked the book of Proverbs, and I picked that page because that page kind of gave me the book even on each side. I had it even on a page, so it made the book lay kind of flat. And then I knew that I wanted at least something in focus. And I've always been taught that the closest thing to the viewer should be in focus. So, I would figure that, I just make the verse 20. I would focus most of my focus on verse 20 and see can I get everything in focus there. And the light coming in from the right, I did not set it up with that light. I had just a regular plain background, and once I looked at it real good, I said, you know what? I need a little bit of star, something coming out of there. So I went back in and found another background with another black background with that star, and then I switched the backgrounds out. That's not my light coming in from the right. That's not mine. My background was just all black like it is on the left. But I found that background and switched out the backgrounds to it.
I was going to say, I like that flare.
Yeah, that flare there, right.
Overall, I really like this. I kind of wish the glasses weren't cut off there on the left a little bit, but
yeah, you know what? I have the full picture, without the glasses cut off. And I said, you know what? I really don't want to cut them off. And I kept messing with it, but you get tired of playing with it sometime, and you say, okay, what the heck, let it go. So, and I really didn't want to. I wanted to shoot another picture and move the glasses a little bit down so I could get the whole, or either close them up a little bit more. But every time I tried something, I ended up with a lot of glare and stuff. So I said, you know what? I'd rather to have the little thing cut off than the glare. And I kind of like got tired of messing with it. So I just, I went on and shot it, And I only did two photos, and I only had really 2 New Year's resolutions because I found out one thing about New Year's resolution. New Year's resolutions is like crying babies in the church. they need to be carried out. So I figure if I didn't make too many New Year's resolutions, I would be able to carry these 2 out.
Well, I tell you what I like. I like the fact that I can read everything. I can read the top, I can read the middle, I can read the bottom. So your depth of field is really nice. And I like having the Bible just on a little angle there, the glasses on an angle, the candle offset. I think, compositionally, you did a lot with this.
Yeah, I don't know what I shot that. Do you have the metadata? I think it was shot around f16, I think it was, or even up maybe a little bit more. Do you have the metadata, Chris?
Give me 1 second. It is ISO 100 48 millimeter f9.
F9, okay. I thought I shot it more than that. Okay. But I got from John teaching me what getting parallel to the camera was. So John, I got as parallel to the camera as I could on that one.
Nice.
I like the way the glasses.
You got your 2021 on the left.
Oh yeah, 20.
Yeah, there you go, John.
Well, there you go, 20.
Yeah, Proverbs
Okay,
20.
Right.
Very nice.
I like the way the glasses magnify the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah, the man and gain. That is really nice too. Yep. Any other comments? This is Bob again.
Like I said, Bob again.
This is Bob's, and his resolution is to clean up his desk.
Wow, I don't know where to stop looking.
Holy cow.
Is this your second desk or is this the first desk?
The other one was his workstation. This is his desk.
Susan must love you.
It
Maybe
appears
Susan-
that he's working towards a paperless office, though.
That's true.
There's not much paper there.
Maybe Susan just keeps them in one room and that's where he can just put all his stuff. That's his room. Just keep it a mess.
Looking
like
at
that
this,
corner.
his work desk looks like it's at the top left because I recognize the electronic stuff. So this is his desk on the other side, it looks like.
Yeah, he got his computer. His computer's there also.
Looks like he's working on a computer too.
Yeah.
Susan says the laptop in the middle is undergoing open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Several cameras there too.
Mhm.
Wow. You could get lost in this photo.
Mhm.
The cameras there, is he working on them or are that's just the storage? Because I see he's got some speed lights too there.
Yeah, 3 cameras, 2 lenses, some speed lights.
Hmm.
Wow. Any other comments? Susan says this is Bob's work area number 1. The workbench is number 2. He can never be bored. I'm sure he has several projects going at the same time too. Okay.
My question, does he finish them? Does he finish all his projects?
Susan says the cameras just never got put back into their cases.
Mm.
Okay. This is Elaine, and this is moving and rail fanning in Colorado.
Mm. Yeah. When I first looked at it, I thought it was about travel. Hey, I'm going to take the train and do some traveling.
I think this fits the theme. That's nice.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Planning a trip. It looks like, planning some railroading trip stuff. That sounds a lot of fun to me.
Yep.
The only problem is that hair.
Hair.
See the hair on the top right?
Top right, right above scenic train.
Yeah.
But knowing the internet, she probably put that there on purpose. Have you guys ever seen the thumbnail that looks like a hair? And it's so perfectly done, it looks like it's on your screen.
Oh, really?
So she probably put that in there to mess with us.
No. She's too nice.
Nicely done.
Well, I hope when she gets out there, she shares a lot of photos from those great places.
Yeah, I hope she shares too. This is John's. And this is filament.
This is one of my resolutions, and Susan, I do apologize because I'm about to give Bob a 3D printer, which is going to make his clutter even worse. But I had 3D printers, one that is in parts, which is what Bob's going to get. But my other two I had gotten up and running, and that's my resolution, is to get those back up and do more with them. I hadn't touched them in about 2 or 3 years.
Now, what is this again, John?
It's a 3D printer. It takes this. This is a spool of plastic, and it takes it and it squeezes it through a little hot nozzle, and it's CAD. It's where you've got motors that will move up, down, left, and right, and you can actually build pretty much anything using this plastic.
So is that just the light reflecting off of it at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, because I kept thinking it looked like it was ends of like a fiber optic.
Yeah, I like that.
And yeah, and I was like, but that doesn't make sense why you would have all these pieces on a spool.
Yep,
And
that-
all cut off.
Mhm.
Exactly.
This is,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's one big spool with probably only one end accessible that he puts onto his printers. And he does some nice work with them. I have a lizard he just recently made me on them that moves and has moving parts and stuff. It's really amazing what you can do with these things.
So on my screen, it feels like the thing that's in focus is that top left arch of the cable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I wanted that's where I focused it on. I wanted the separation between the wood cutting board and the kind of the filament there.
And then the front is out of focus, but I like it. It helps with make it appear more like the fiber optic cables with the way the light hit the front.
I think I turned it upside down. I think the original image was 180. It just looked just like the composition of it.
I've never seen fiber optic cable green, so I knew that wasn't it. I couldn't figure out what it was.
I thought it was a water hose at first. I had no idea, John. I have to tell you. Oh,
It's one of those specialty things that once you
Yep,
see
I
it and
know.
you know what it is, you know what it is.
right.
Okay, any other comments? This is also John's, which is a hot shave.
Now, I thought that was Mike at first.
This is
Thank you.
the only thing I didn't like is the cream on the brush blew out on me, but I was running
Yeah.
out of time. But this is what my resolution for this is to take more time to enjoy a hot shave.
Okay. Great.
Too many times do I just do the electric razor and that's it. So I miss the kind of me time that a nice slow hot shave creates.
I love the composition. Like you say, the only thing is that you got the brush, just shaving cream, kind of like got a hot spot there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I like the composition. I like the colors.
Thank
I
you.
like everything about it. It's great.
Any other comments for John?
What did you do on the background? Because it fades off to black.
Right.
That's one of our little light tents,
Mm.
and it's got one of those. It's got all the plastic backgrounds that go in. So I use the same cutting board that I used with the filament, and I put it in there and I lit it, and then I burned the heck out of it in Photoshop to bring it down to completely black.
Yeah, I really like the black background. It makes it pop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that brown and that black. Brown going off into that black. It really did it.
Because the first time I saw this one, I really liked it.
Oh, thank you.
It It is well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
This is Susan's, which is reading time. So it must be her reading corner.
It's not Bob's reading corner.
Don't think so.
No way.
Definitely can tell this is her corner of the room. I like the teacup and the glasses on the chair.
Mm-hmm. And the notepad with the pencil.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
It looks like
Nice
she
photo.
moved the chest, the drawers to the right a little bit because I could see the dimple in the carpet.
Susan says over on Facebook, now that I have a new designated reading space, the theory is to retreat to my space and get in more reading.
Nice.
Great.
Looks like a comfy chair too.
Nice.
Looks nice and soft with that sheepskin over it.
Yeah, it looks like a nice, quiet place.
Relaxing, not surrounded by clutter.
And at least you're not reading a photography book either. Get a break, right?
That's a nice. After seeing Bob's stuff, that's a nice calming photo. I could crawl into that photo and be comfortable. I like that.
Susan says, Bob painted the room for me this summer. It was bright blue, my son's bedroom. The dimple was an old student desk that we gave away.
Ah,
Oh.
Very nice.
Mhm.
This is mine, which I like to write sometimes, and poetry or diary or things like that. So my resolution is to write more this year.
Mm.
And that's the start of a poem that is at the top, and the nice pen John gave me for Christmas.
I've never seen a pen like that.
A fountain
Recently.
pen. It's really, really nice, and it's different to write with, but it's smooth.
How do you fill it?
That's what I
Does
was-
it have a cartridge to go to it, or you have to actually suck it in there?
You can suck it in there, or you can just fill the chamber with this particular
Oh, okay.
pen.
Okay, that's definitely old school.
It's a lot of fun to write with, and
Yeah, those were the kinds of pens that we had when I first started school.
You can
And
actually buy them on Amazon.
They had the cartridges.
You can actually buy cheap ones on Amazon.
oh, Lewis is
Cheap
here.
ones on Amazon, yeah.
yeah, this is John's had one of these for a while, and I really liked his, so he got me one, and I filled it with blue ink, which is my favorite. So
It's actually called Moon Man C1. I think they're like $20, $25. But they're I've always loved fountain pens, and I never wanted to pay the money to get a really good one. And then I tried this $25 one, and I really enjoyed it. It's a very nice pen.
it works
So-
really smoothly.
So, Chris, was the depth of field by choice? Because what's closest to us is out of focus, and the text and everything falls out. You really have the focus down on that pin tip, I think.
That's what I was aiming for. I wanted you to be able to tell that I wrote words, and if I focused on the front, you wouldn't have been able to tell that. So I wanted the tip of the pen, which is in the third, in focus, but and I was using my macro lens to take this, so that was kind of my point.
Also, like the pin coming out of the corner.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I took a couple shots to make sure that happened.
Yeah.
It was the leading lines towards the words, but also the pen as the instrument is kind of what I was going for. And it's on the same cutting board John was using for his photos, but which is what you see coming out the top.
Cheater.
You said it was a macro lens. Did you have it? What did you have it set for as far as millimeters?
It's my 105 macro lens. So it's a set
Oh,
macro lens.
oh, okay. Did you? What kind of f-stop did you use on that?
This was my 105. It was f8
Oh, okay.
and ISO 400.
You must focus real close too.
Yeah, as I said, it's my macro lens,
Yeah.
so I deliberately wanted that shallow depth of field.
Hey, Chris, you have the Nikon macro, right?
Yes.
Yeah, let me ask you a question real quick. Does it change the closer you get to the further you get? Does it stop all the way down to 2.8 no matter where you are?
I
No matter
Off the top of my head, I believe it does go to 2 point. It goes to 2.8. However close you are, but you just have to be careful because of the depth of field and what you're actually doing with it.
It's a prime. It is your prime, so it
Yeah.
does stay 2.8 at the entirety.
Yeah.
yeah, well, see, no, I have this Sigma 2.8 105 macro, and it's a little different. It, for me to get 2.8, I have to be at a certain distance, at a certain distance from the subject. You know what I mean? For me to get 2.8, so I can't get 2.8 all the way through it. You know what I mean? So I have to be at a certain distance to or from the subject in order for me to hit that 2.8.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
in Facebook, Leslie says that the Sigma seems to change.
Okay, good. Okay, that's what I was wondering the signal, but the Nikon doesn't change. It will 2.8 all the way through then, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I should have just saved my money and got the Nikon instead of trying to be cheap.
I
Sigma's
got
is
another question for you.
good lens, but yeah. Go ahead,
I have
Fred.
one more question. Would this work for close macro or in this contest next week or not?
Yes, it should. It's a macro shot. I could get closer to the pen and have that be my only focus for the macro.
But does it still count because of the short depth of field?
Yes, it is still a macro shot.
Okay, right.
Technically, macro is that the size. Like, let's say you're photographing a dime. The dime is projected on your sensor at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you looked at the sensor, you would see the dime the exact same size. That's the technical definition, but really close up or macro, it's you don't need a macro lens to do that. You can kind of just zoom in on something and
you
kind
can
of
do
make
the
it big.
zoom lens, but what are we going to count next week? That's my question.
That's a good question, and we actually have Lewis here. Lewis,
I think the theme says macro / close up, didn't it? I'm not for sure now.
and
Yeah.
I believe I don't know. I believe Mike also
The
put a
theme
definition up
says,
for us.
Close up and macro. So I'm assuming
Right.
that close ups are allowed and macros are allowed. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, if it say
How
close up,
close is a close up though? How close is a close up? That's the question too.
Well, that's a good question. So I think
I
we'll
guess
leave
it
it
just
up to the
depends on.
judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I mean, if you're taking a picture of the moon and you're using a telescope, that's a close up, but it's a whole bunch of miles away.
Well, I
Okay.
kind of think close-ups would be pretty obvious, like taking a picture of a bird in a tree up close, and then I don't know that last year I think it was just macro, and it wasn't close-up. So we'll just see how it all goes, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, but some judges may think some different. I don't know. It all depends on the judge. You know what I mean? What they think, I guess. But because
But it's not like a movie close up. It's not like a close up of an actress, a
Right,
face
right.
shot.
Right.
Have to be a close up of her eye or something.
Yeah.
Something zoomed in usually is what we're going through with more with
I
these
was doing
themes.
some research on it, and this one guy, he does macro on it, and he does a close up and macro, and he was saying your macro shots and close up should be did within a 2 foot by 2 feet by 2 feet space or something like that. That was his definition. That's what he thought it meant. You know what I mean? So it's up to, I guess, it's up to the judge. You know what I mean?
Now I just pulled up the September newsletter, and Mike had put in for our contest themes close up macro. The photograph should be taken from a position very near the subject. Generally, this means that the lens should be focused at or near its closest focusing position. The use of screw-on close-up filters, extension tubes, and macro lenses is permitted. Now, Christine did a great macro presentation. However, if you don't have a macro lens, close-up filters, or extension tubes, as long as you can fake it by using a long lens. So you don't need to have all those.
Right.
But actually, today I was using my long lens to get within about a foot and a half of things on the ground and stuff I was shooting. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good on close up, I think.
Yeah, because I can take my 28 to 20 to 300, and that thing focus within and about 12 or 13 inches.
Yeah,
So
mine's a zoom out to 200, and that was I can get really close with it anyway.
right,
So you can fake it,
right.
and as long as
Plus
the
a crop too,
right,
right?
and as long as the judge doesn't require a street for street photography, we all should be good.
Yeah, well, we'll not worry about that anymore.
Mm.
Okay. This is mine also, and it is food prep and eat out less and more healthy. So I kind of, um, John and I have been looking at some recipes and that have caught our eyes, and we want to try to do some like Chinese barbecue.
Some recipe. It was one recipe. We saw a video on Chinese barbecue, and the next day, a box with writing similar to this shows up on the porch. So this is 3 of the 5 or 6 things that we need to make Chinese barbecue.
And this was also in our little light box, and I just thought it represented trying to eat out less and eat in more and be more healthy about it.
Yep. Well, my goal, but this next week, I'm going to make me a what do you call it? Chicken pot pie. I haven't made one, so that's my goal next week is to make me a chicken pot pie.
Ooh.
Sounds good to me.
So I see the same cutting board. What did you use to light this?
This is our light box, and we have the built-in lights that light strips. So there were 2 light strips, one above and one to the front of this above it.
And that's the same black background that John darkened in that previous photo.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
It looks like your reflection is in that middle bottle.
It might be. No, actually, it shouldn't be because I was outside the box.
Yeah,
But I see,
something is there though.
yeah, I see the way the lights are hitting. But that's the LED lights that are part of the light strip that you see the different lines of.
Uh-huh.
And what's in the middle, I'm not totally sure. Maybe that is my reflection. But I wasn't in the light, so I don't know.
I think I see our room light
Maybe.
because it's a little bit warmer.
And then my last shot is organization. So tools that we use to help organize things. So our labeler and tape to put things in boxes and organize our house. So
What's the white gaffer's tape for?
You should share that with Bob.
the white tape is for, well, I put it there as something to close boxes with, but I know
You
that's
use
not
that
what
good gaffer's tape to close boxes, I will cut you.
It was a third item to put in. I was going for 3.
Okay.
I would not use gaffer's tape to tie up a box, but I would use the packing tape. But it was
Great.
there, and I used it.
I got the packing tape. I just didn't get the labeler. So
You should have told him the gaffer's tape he used to make labels.
That would be okay.
That'd really make him mad. Oh, it would be.
Oh, it'd be
Okay.
better. It'd be better than wrapping a whole box up with the stuff.
But it'd be okay if it had your Christmas gift in it, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I think my only issue with the photo is, for some reason, it bothers me that the letters are not quite in focus.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. I guess I should have tried to use a slightly bigger depth of field, but I was using my 105 macro lens for all of these, and because I wasn't trading out lenses, and so that's why this shallow depth of field probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like me. You shot them all at the last minute, didn't you?
No. Yes.
No?
Actually, it was all the last day.
Slacker.
I've been
Did you shoot
busy.
straight down on that, or did you shoot it? You didn't shoot straight down on that, did you?
No, I was shooting into the light box,
Oh, okay.
the box. So I was outside shooting in.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I actually had to back up quite a bit because these were bigger items. So I
Yeah.
was like halfway across the room shooting into the box
Mhm.
because of the 105 millimeter.
Mhm.
And Susan says she thought Elaine took this one and accused her of submitting it, and she said no. So
I had no idea who that one
That's
was
just because
from.
we all know the lane was going to move. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was able to guess who some of them were from, but this one I had no idea who this one was from either.
this next one is from Julie, and it's getting started. Julie,
I bought a speed light a year ago. I put the batteries in it. I turned it on, but it has yet to be used. It's never been on my camera. And I actually put it on the stand to take this picture. So with our one of our themes, which is one light, I'm like, well, maybe good time to start working with it. I mean, last year I did start reading what all I needed to do to attach it and set it up, but then we decided to move, so it got back burner. So,
Yeah.
so that's basically where I'm at. I might have to ask some tips of different ones that have the Canon.
When is the one light portrait?
one light portrait is
I think it's April.
yes, April 21st.
Maybe we can set up something like we did last year with Kinder Park or Lake Waterford, and then maybe we can bring a couple models or something in and give
Yeah,
people an option.
why are we on this one light portrait? Nah, it's a one light portrait has to be of a person.
Portraits usually are of people.
I know.
Seemed like an extremely narrow definition to me. Extremely narrow.
Could be an animal.
Okay, that's a different because if it's one light portrait, I hate to submit 4 portraits of myself. I hate to submit 4 self portraits of me because I don't have anyone else to shoot because my wife won't let me shoot her, my daughter won't let me shoot them. So look, I'm stuck with just me.
Well, I
Hey,
hope
that's
you
what
don't.
I'm doing.
I hope you don't submit that photo of you working out, JC, because that was a good photo.
Yeah.
Well,
We'd lose to that
I
sucker.
That was
I'm not
too
gonna-
light.
No, that was too light, so I'm not gonna lie on it. but I know we did say that as long as you use one light, you can use windows, reflectors, and everything else. But I was just wondering, does it have to be of a person? If it does, how the heck am I gonna shoot her? I'm submit 4 portraits of myself. Well, I'll do what I have to do then.
Yeah, I don't think my husband's gonna let me shoot him, but my 3 sisters are coming to visit me in a month.
You better get them.
Portraits of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. Is one light just include the sun or the window?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
this just seemed like a category that was so narrow that we have a few people in the club who do this.
Well,
I mean, I don't have any speed lights or anything like that.
Rich, the official definition is a one light portrait uses a single key light or main light. This is usually a speed light or a strobe, but of course the sun is a light, a window is a light, and I believe Lewis allowed that you can supplement this with a reflector, a window, or sunlight.
Right.
So it's not as narrow as you think.
So
Right.
can you use the one light plus the reflector?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I got a question on that one.
Definitely get you out of your
I got
comfort zone.
I got a highlighter. Are you going to count that one as a reflector?
That's a reflector.
It's a reflector.
Yeah, it's definitely, but it's 180 degrees. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess it's good 90 degrees. It's okay,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a reflector. I would think.
Yeah, it's definitely a reflector.
But you got to realize, as long as the judge is going to get this definition in our newsletter. However, the judge may be the judge may have in their minds, something that's a little bit more moodier. It's kind of that toss up. You're not really sure what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't look like it was made with one light, they might throw it out. And the highlighter is, I mean, that just wraps around. It's beautiful light.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's kind of cheating actually.
So you might want to kind of
Well,
kind
they
of
could
go with
tell by
something
the-
that
they could
looks
tell
more.
by the eye. They could tell by the eyes if
Mhm.
it's used, if they've done it before.
So in the newsletter, I put a link in to Google Images where I Googled one light portraits.
Hmm.
And so you can see all these one light portraits on Google that come up. Now they're not perfect. Some of them might be a stretch, but they all look a lot moodier than you might think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know if their definition of one light included reflectors and other stuff. So
Yeah, well, it's going to be a challenge. Definitely get you out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Hmm.
What about outside? Is that
Yeah. As long as it's
is
one
the
light.
sun and an okay? The
One
sun is a light, or can you use a fill light too?
Yeah.
In the
If you're
newsletter
using the sun, like if
definition,
you
the
have a
sunlight
window.
was okay as a supplemental.
Yeah.
But then you're going to get back into the same thing, like Mike said. When the judge thinks one light, they're going to probably think moodier.
Yeah, that's what I
Think-
kind of think too. Because I was thinking like you could take the sun and use the sun as a backlit,
Mhm.
and then put a strobe in front of them.
you
It
can
looks like you're
overpower the
all
sun
that.
with a strobe. That would work.
Yeah.
Right.
But once the weather gets a little bit better, we'll see if we can get together a couple, kind of like we did last year, and then maybe invite people to bring a couple models here and there. Maybe we can bang it out.
You know this is going to go just like all our other contests. The judge is just going to pick the best looking portraits, and the fact that the details about the lights he's not going to really be aware of unless it's really obvious that there are more than one light.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay. This is also Julie and recording birds I observed.
Wow. I kind of figured that's what that was.
I have a lot of birding books. I mean, it was something that my mom did. And I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 months, I'm going to start writing down when I see these birds and what they are once I look them up. But the more that I have looked into capturing that, there are so many different ways to capture it. There's so many applications that I'm still like right now trying to analyze what's the simplest way to do it and be meaningful for any time I wanted to go back and look at it.
Hmm.
So I'm always sitting in the sunroom looking with my binoculars and then looking them up and either on the phone or in the books.
Well, I have no idea about that, but I can tell you one thing. It was perfectly executed because I knew exactly what you were going for.
Yep.
Great, well, thank you. I took a lot of shots. I did use my macro lens for this, and this is natural lighting. This is out in my sunroom. You can see the frame of the pink wrought iron table through the glass down by the binoculars. And then that's the window to the outdoors at the top.
But Julie, you're in Florida now, right?
No, we're now in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. You're getting all our birds down there now. I thought you was in Florida.
Yeah, we hadn't seen any robins until about a month ago. So we got all the robins from the north now.
Right.
And then we have many, many starlings, I believe is what the birds are. And the red-winged blackbirds have been everywhere the last couple of days. As a matter of fact, they knocked one of my bird feeders out of the tree from sitting on it or whatever they did to it. I'm not sure. But
So that's where the red-winged blackbirds went. I've only seen one this year.
I guess because the last couple of days we're on the golf course and they've been all over the golf course. They've been up in the trees. They just kind of like circle around from yard to yard. It's crazy. But yeah, and we have to watch the squirrels because I guess you all saw the picture I posted of the squirrel. He likes to get in the feeders too. So between some of these big, huge birds and the squirrels, it's like a battle.
Mm-hmm.
I found
Yeah.
messing with the squirrels better than feeding the birds sometimes. I'd go out there with
Yeah.
a can of Crisco and spray these poles down. That was an afternoon of fun right there.
Yeah. Well, the birds.
I have a suggestion for you
What's that?
with your lighting. You have a new strobe. You have the strobe that you haven't used before, correct?
Right.
Take the strobe. You have a white ceiling.
Yes. In that particular room, yes.
Take the strobe off the camera, or you can leave it on the camera and just point it up to the ceiling and let it go down. Then what will happen? The shadows of the pencil would be more, and the shadow underneath that book would be more, and all the detail on that your binocular would come right out.
Mm-hmm. I'll
And
try.
you'd be able to read the page, huh?
I'll try that and see what happens.
Yeah, start out on TTL and then just start moving the TTL up on it, and then when you get it where you want it, then hit the lock button on it, and it'll go into a manual mode, and then you'll understand where that's at.
Yeah. I mean, that was all the things that I read about it like a year ago, and now I need to get back to it.
Okay. Any other comments? I believe this is also Julie's, which is more golf.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we live on the golf course. And this was one day, my husband and I have been walking a lot and eating better to try and lose some weight and be healthier. He had a scare back in November, so he's been recovering from that. But we were sitting on the balcony taking a break at the clubhouse, and I got out my cell phone and took this shot.
Ah.
Like, oh, I need to really get a better shot with the camera. But then it rained ever since, well, up until it was time to post. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm using the cell phone picture. But absolutely, I'm going to play more golf this year. I mean, when we were in Florida, we were in a golf course community. I didn't play there as a resident. I played there as a visitor before we bought. And now that where we live now, there's 4 courses, and I think I've played 2 9s and 2 18 holes. So I'm looking forward to more golf.
Very nice.
And being better at it, not playing at it, but being better at it.
There you go. One life photo on the golf course.
Yeah.
What about alligators? They have alligators around there?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
There are alligators all the way up to Wilmington. We're below Wilmington.
Yeah.
But the alligators are at least up to Wilmington, because I know the battleship North Carolina is there and you can feed them from there, which I don't understand that, but.
So on that golf course, you don't have a problem with them, do you?
Actually, I have not seen any since we've been here in our community, but I know they're here. One of the courses, the 13th hole in the spring, when they all come out to mate, they all lay in that particular pond on that 13th hole. And there's a road that goes right next to it. People actually stop on the road to take a look at all the alligators in the pond there, or on the banks actually. So, but I've seen, I mean, we've come to this area for 30 years, I guess. And, you know, I've actually seen like 2 foot long alligators. You know, they're always reproducing, so they're always here. And there's been some big ones and some little ones. So you just have to be aware.
Never had any problem, but I went to the University of Florida, and one used to sun itself in front of the 8th green. When one of the guys hit his ball up there, and he starts creeping up, trying to figure out what to do. And within a split second, that alligator decided to go the other way, but it went the distance that he was away from it in the opposite direction into the water in just a flash. For 20, 30 feet, they're extremely fast.
Yeah.
But the kids used to go out in the ponds there, pull golf balls out of the pond, and when the alligator come up behind him, kid would have a bag full of balls. He'd just peg a ball between the eyes, and the alligator go the other way.
Yeah.
The kids, they just, you know.
Yeah, I'm not going to challenge any alligators.
They're not really aggressive, but I wouldn't mess with them either.
No, I'm not going to. And if my ball's near there, hey, that's just $2. I'll get another ball. But
definitely a lot cheaper.
yeah, but they can lunge. So even if you're in the golf cart, you're not safe because, of course, that's open and they can lunge right into the golf cart. And actually, I've seen videos where they will climb over a chain link fence. So, you know, fence doesn't do you any good either.
Wow.
Wow.
But we do have all kinds of, you know, waterfowl here. I just haven't been able to get any pictures of them because they either hear me tell my husband I'm going to take a picture or they see me get in the camera and they fly off. So.
Very nice. Looks like a place I want to hang out.
It is beautiful here. It's been cold the last couple of days, and this morning I think was the coldest. It was like 32 degrees, but with the wind chill, it felt like 25. So.
Any other comments on this before we finish? Because this is our last photo.
Right.
And the winner of this week's contest is JC.
Thank you.
Congratulations, JC.
Thank you. I'll show it. One of maybe at the next opening. I'll probably show that one then.
Just as we thought you were over 90.
Huh?
It's just as we thought you were over 90.
Yeah, I know. No, I'll tell you, I'm only 76. Still young.
Okay.
That's a great photo.
Congratulations, JC.
Huh?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all very, very much. You know, I just wish that we would get more people to participate. That's,
yeah. I keep trying. And
I know.
so, again, the theme for the month of February is translucent or transparent. So please get your submissions in for that. 3 by February the 24th is when those will be due. And then we'll talk about them on April the 7th.
Translucent or transparent? All right.
It has to be shot that month. Does it have to be shot that month or anytime?
If you have others, but we prefer they be shot within that month.
Oh, okay.
But we'll review those March the 7th.
Yeah, sorry.
March 3rd.
March
March
3rd.
3rd.
Sorry.
Okay.
I looked at the wrong month. I'm sorry. March 3rd. And that is tonight's program.
What do we have coming up, Christine?
We have coming up next week, we have Irene Siciliato with a passion for wildlife photography.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you all for joining us. Anyone in the conference,
for
go ahead
having us.
and stick around, and we'll go ahead and close out. And we'll see everybody next week.
Everybody.